we're going to be talking about how to keep your metabolism high during the holidays. So I know that this plan won't be for everybody. I totally get it, but I wanted to give a plan for people that are looking to find that balance, and I know that this plan will work for you if you decide to implement it. So probably this month more than any other, you're going to have the opportunity over the next 4 to 6 weeks with the winter holidays, with New Year's, with all of that to probably get yourself into a little bit more of a higher caloric situation. But not just that. Oftentimes, these are all flex meals or cheat foods, whatever you want to talk about them. And it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy these foods. You absolutely can, but you need to know if you're not looking to put on the typical weight gain, which is 6 pounds or more during these next 6 weeks, what can we do to not only make sure that you stay your healthy weight, maybe even lose weight during the process if that's your goal, but to go into the New Year's not having to take off what you just gained, but actually maintain overall health and healthy weight. And at the same time, this isn't even just about your weight and your metabolism, but also about your overall health, because your body doesn't gain weight without some type of inflammatory based effect for the most part. So sometimes it's a healthy inflammatory effect through workouts, etc. But oftentimes what we're talking about for the majority of the population, and if you're a practitioner listening to this, it's usually caused by a spike in blood sugar levels, a spike in insulin, excess caloric calories, with even a little bit of a slowdown on movement. And the reason is, well, you have more treats, you have more events, you're getting maybe less sleep from going to parties. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about this, how to combat all of that and actually come out on the other side, not only unscathed, but actually in a better position to start the new year. Feeling great, lots of energy in both mind and body. So before we talk about calories, before we talk about what are better foods to choose, or if you're going to choose certain foods, how to mitigate that damage, let's talk about this. Let's talk about, instead of deprivation, because I do believe that you should be able to enjoy some of your favorite foods around the holidays, maybe not all day, every day, right? But some of the foods that you do enjoy, I don't see any issue with that. But what we want to think about is the balance, the energy balance. If you're bringing more energy in, what does that mean? Well, if we're talking about just from a food perspective, more energy in means more calories, more fat, more protein, more carbs. And for the most part, it's really in the holidays around fat and carbs. We typically like to think about, oh, it's just excess carbs, but it's really not. Whenever you're having desserts or a lot of these treats, there's definitely more sugar. There's no doubt about it. But actually, what often gets overlooked is the fat content. And when you mix fat and sugar together, it's a much better driver for weight gain than fat alone or sugar alone. When you bring them both together, you do actually have more of a 1 + 1 = 2, a 1 + 1 = 3. You have a greater effect. And that is looked at through the literature. Now I know it's about total calories. I get that. But actually, when you look at it and you look, if you wear a continuous glucose monitor, not only will you see a fairly sharp spike in blood sugar, you'll see an extended increase in blood sugar over many hours, could be 6 or 8 hours, rather than up for an hour, 2 hours, and back down within 3 for a high carb meal. Really important to look at that fact, because you're not going to be tapping into body fat to the same degree. Okay, plus we all know that when we're combining fat and carbs together, those things are what our body loves for the most part. Sugar, salt, fat. You combine those three, very addictive properties, and that's why we want more and more. Our brains are hardwired to actually put on body fat. They really are, because that would have served us well during times of a lack of food or calories. We want the things that have a lot of calories in them. And certainly fat has double the amount of calories per gram than carbs. Doesn't mean that it's better or worse. We just want to take that into account, that it's very easy to start gaining weight when you start combining a lot of these treat-based foods. And that, of course, starts typically with Halloween, and it just flows through the new year. So let's make sure that we don't take 2 months off from our health or from our diet as well. All right, so besides looking at the overall macros, we want to understand is that we can't, and going back to the energy balance, we can't take off the burning part. So if we have more coming in, we need to burn more of that fuel. And so for me, whenever I'm working with private clients, I need to make sure that not only they on point with their exercise, let's call it their resistance workouts, their weight training. That's great. I don't need them to up their weight training. What I actually need them to up what they do is now more of their zone 2 cardio and or brisk walking in general. So if they're used to getting 7,000, which is the minimum for my private wellness clients, I want them to get a minimum of 7,000 steps a day. I want them more in the 10 to 12,000 step range. And typically all that means is 20 more minutes of walking a day. So 20 more minutes of walking might seem like a lot, but honestly, it's a walk after dinner. That's it. I literally just asked them, hey, can you go for a walk after dinner? That's all. That's literally all that I need you to do, 20 minutes, and you're good to go. And if they're like, well, I can't sneak away, I've got kids, I've got all that, I say, I totally get it. Here's what I'd like you to do. If you don't have a walking treadmill inside, which are much less expensive than a regular treadmill, let's just make a conscious effort to get up and move 5 more minutes 4 times a day. And that'll get you the extra steps. And then you can wear an Apple Watch, a Garmin watch, a Fitbit. You can look at your Oura Ring. You can look at whatever you want, but try to check it 3 to 4 times a day just to make sure you're on point. So what I do, just to make things easier for myself, is that I know that I'm going to get in about 5,000 steps a day if I'm just left to my own devices, like my typical daily routine, but not the extra 5,000. And what I realized is that a lot of my job is research, it's reading, it's teaching, and then it's meeting with my team. And all of that is really at a desk. So if you look at my overall job, I'm no longer walking around like I used to be for 10 hours a day, as a personal trainer, strength and conditioning specialist. That's not what I do. And so what I do is essentially research and teach. Like that's a big thing of what I do and try to lead my teams. So what I do now is I get in 5,000 steps by 9 a.m. That's my goal. Because if I do that, then I know for the rest of the day I'm going to get 5,000. That's typically how my schedule works out, because I still get up and move around lunch. I still get up and move around at the end of my day, and I try to walk with my family after dinner. And without a doubt, I'm kind of around the house doing a bunch of things for at least another 2,000 steps. So now I just have to get 3,000 steps from 9 to 5. That's really what I need to get. And so that just means that I need to be moving for about 30 minutes during that time. That's all there is to it. So getting steps is really just math. That's all that it is. So for me, it's a 1 hour walk in the morning, and that gets me my 5,000 steps. It's as simple as that. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, it means I'm burning a greater amount of calories, so would you be, and it increases your depletion, essentially, of glycogen. And that's what I want to talk about next. So what I want you to do on the days that you are going into these holiday parties, office parties, get-togethers, friends parties, neighborhood block parties, whatever it might be, is that's the day especially. Even if you're not able to do 10 to 12,000 steps every day, but they all add up. Remember, it's cumulative over a week. If you're used to getting 7,000 steps a day and you go to 10,000 a day, okay, 3 times 7, 3,000 steps times 7 is 21,000 steps extra for that week, right? Well, that's an extra 3 days of walking you just got in. I'm doing podcast math right now, so forgive me if the math is wrong. It's hard to use the analytical math side and the creative processing talking side at the same time, but I'm pretty sure that's what it comes out to be. And so when I look at that, I just got 3 extra days walking. Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. So you do that over the course of a month, you just basically got in 3, 6, 9, 12 more days. That's like another week and a half. So pretty phenomenal, right? For what you get in for your walks. But if we can't do that, not a problem. What if we did it on the days that you're going to be going out to these parties? And then what if it's also you made sure that you kind of rearranged your workout schedule a bit so that your workout could be in the afternoon before one of these parties, or maybe even around lunchtime. What it enables you to do is enjoy yourself to a far greater degree, not just mentally, but actually physically. Here's what I mean by that. Your liver stores about 90 to 120 grams of sugar. We'll just call it glycogen, right? Glycogen sugar. We'll just call it that. It's easier. And it keeps it there so that whenever your body actually is in fight or flight, or you start to drop blood sugar, it can just naturally break down a little bit of liver glycogen, and it can bring it into your bloodstream to keep your body balanced. Okay, but if we start to deplete that through resistance-based training or walking or whatever it might be, what it also allows us to do is to then have an empty bucket, right? An empty pail that when we eat some glucose, sugar, glycogen, we don't eat glycogen, but you know what I'm saying, we turn it into glycogen, that it's going to have stores. It's going to have empty pockets that were allowed then to fill those back up. So then when you eat these carbs or drink those carbs, you actually get to store them without being detrimental to the body to the same degree. It's not going to be stored as adipose tissue. It's not going to add more of that fat stores like I said, to the same degree. So that's a big takeaway. Is it possible? Increase your steps. Sure, you can go for a jog, you can do row machine, you can do whatever it is that you like, step mill, etc. All those are great. But if you want it to be informal, you can also just walk. And then ideally on those days, resistance training. Resistance training, not only will it help to also deplete glycogen, it doesn't even have to be HIIT training or Metcon training. I podcast on those as well. But what it does is it will improve protein synthesis. So now over the next 24 to potentially 48 hours, depending on the workout, you'll improve how your body utilizes amino acids from protein and carbohydrates, because your muscles are predominantly water, predominantly also help to use carbohydrates. So really important when we look at that is that not always depriving yourself, but instead, if you know you're going to be taking more energy in through food, because it's an energy-based substance, we can give off some energy, output some energy, so that we actually have some storehouses to fill, all right? So hopefully that first part is helpful. Now, the second part is, let's say you're at the party, the office event, whatever it is. If it is possible to eat beforehand, I can't recommend that enough. Even if it's only a handful of nuts or a salad. A good go-to is typically chickpeas or hummus, a salad, little bit of olive oil, put on some apple cider vinegar, squeeze some lemon, whatever you'd like. Fill your body with enough food and fiber. Fiber is the key word here. So here's what I'm looking for. Fairly low calorie, but very nutrient dense. That means you're not going to be eating a lot of your calories, but you're eating enough food, a nice big bowl of salad with some chickpeas or beans on top, with a little bit of olive oil, not overdoing it, but overdo it on lemon if you want. No calories there. Give this a nice tart to it. Add a little bit of sea salt if you'd like. Some cracked pepper, some spices, whatever it is that you want. Very low calorie, but nutrient dense. And then that is going to give you more satiation. So you're going to be fuller going into the party. That means you're less likely to overeat. You might nibble a bit, but you're not going in hungry. It is a game changer for myself and my clients as well. I do the same exact thing. I was actually just at a Halloween party. Took my daughters. We visited some friends. They live about 40 minutes away. And I knew that there was going to be pizza and all sorts of great stuff. No doubt about it. And I could have made it a cheat meal if I wanted to. I just didn't want it to. Like it was not going to be my cheat meal for the week. It's just not. And so what I did was, not only that, we brought our own food. So we had the food for everybody, which is great. And we also brought a nice big salad. We brought the chickpeas that I'm telling you right now. I'm trying to practice what I preach. There was some chopped up and diced purple potatoes. There were all sorts of great ingredients that my wife made to put on there. Why do I also bring this to a party? Because also it enables people to say, hey, there's other things that we can do in addition to the pizza and these fun foods, that we can have a salad too. So instead of eating 4 slices of pizza, you might eat 2, plus you have a nice salad. And it's a game changer. And also, what does it do? It introduces other people to healthier ways of eating. And I don't mind being that individual who's just trying to promote health overall in general. I never criticize people for eating pizza. I'll have pizza every once in a while if I choose to eat pizza, right? So that's the way that it is. You get to choose. It also depends on how many holiday gatherings are you going to? Are you going to multiple a week? If so, then you might want to pick and choose and not go all out at all of them. If it's just one a week, well, you might say, okay, well, this is my time to enjoy myself. And then of course, more power to you. It's your life, your decision. You should make the best decision for you. All right, the next part is this. It's looking at liquid calories. So forget about all the foods. I think that you know what healthy foods are for the most part and what more of the flex foods are. But when you're consuming alcohol, understand that most of the issue are the mixed drinks, right? Like that's a big part of it, because you're getting the alcohol, which the equivalencies are basically 1.5 ounces of spirits, like a shot, as part of a mixed drink, which we'll talk about, a beer, a 6-ounce glass of wine, etc. So when we look at those are essentially equivalents. But what happens is you take that vodka or you take that tequila and then you add a sour mix to it. Or with vodka, you might add tonic water to it, right? Which is the sugar one instead of the soda water, which is no sugar. So we have to understand is that we're getting 2 to 3x the calories from sugar from these mixed drinks. And so when you're looking at consuming alcohol, you may opt for something more like a Tito's vodka, something like a gluten-free vodka if you want, or a tequila that would then be mixed instead with a soda water, some lime, and maybe a splash, just a splash of cranberry. That can make a really nice lower calorie drink, and you still get to enjoy a glass of alcohol if you'd like. Now, if you decide to go with the mixed drinks, the margaritas, the whatever it is at holiday parties, maybe it's Moscow mules, etc., you want to look at it like this, is that if you're going to be drinking your carbs, you may not want to eat your starches. So it's something to look at. You might want to stick more to the vegetables and the fibrous-based veggies and your protein, and let your alcohol be your carbohydrate, for lack of a better term. All right, something to think about that too. And if you are drinking alcohol, one of my biggest recommendations is there's a couple of supplements you may use. Obviously, it's your choice. There's one called a universal binder. It will give you less of those hangover-based effects. It will bind up more of that alcohol. And we use a product called Universal Binder by Equilife. You can choose whatever product you want. I'm going to give you the ingredients to look for: bentonite clay, fulvic acid, humic acid, a carbonized charcoal. You can look for something with silica or bamboo shoot extract. And then another one is tudka or tudka, depending on how you like to pronounce it. All of these will help with the liver processing to a degree, but they're mainly meant to bind up more of the toxicity caused by alcohol-based metabolism. There's another product that will help get and metabolize the alcohol to a faster degree, simply because you're giving your liver more of the enzymes or more of the at least raw material that will help this cytochrome P450 and phase 2 detoxification. I have a free course on detox. If you want to learn more about it, it's completely free. It's at stephencabral.com/courses. Just click on the detox one if this is new to you. But that product is called Daily Detox Support. You would simply take 2 of the Daily Detox Support before your alcohol and your flex foods, and 2 to 3 of the Universal Binder. It's really simple, and you would just take those 2, one to bind up, one to give you the liver support, but that's completely up to you. You also, if you're going to be having multiple mixed drinks or multiple glasses of alcohol, I definitely recommend water, glass of alcohol, glass of water, then alcohol, and repeat the process if you decide to have more than 2 drinks. Hydrating between each glass of alcohol will help you tremendously with sleep, metabolism, detox, and not being as hungover the next day. If you can add a little bit of pinch of sea salt and some lime or lemon to that water, even better, and that will help to hydrate the body to a greater degree. Okay, the last tip that I want to give you is that if possible, try not to throw off your sleep schedule too much. Consuming the foods, consuming the alcohol, and staying up later often is what leads to the poor sleep, less deep sleep, less recovery, more of that grogginess, brain fog, inflammation. And what people forget is the next day, then you're often choosing more caffeine, sugar, pick-me-ups, comfort food to just deal with the night before. So instead of a one meal assault on the body or one evening, what it turns into now is 24 hours to 36 hours before then you start to self-regulate. And oftentimes there's multiple parties per week. So that's what I recommend. And if you're having multiple flex meals per week, in an ideal world, just try not to make them back-to-back days. Give your body a day to do something like the 1-day reset diet, or to simply eat healthily to get back on track, stabilize that blood sugar, glucose, do your walking that next day, get a good night's sleep. So I know that this plan won't be for everybody. I totally get it. And some people just like to throw, caution to the wind for the last 6 weeks or so of the year, from Thanksgiving in the US through the new year. And I get it. And no issues. If that's how you want to do it, fantastic. But I wanted to give a plan for people that are looking to find that balance. And I know that this plan will work for you if you decide to implement it. Thanks so much. Feel free to leave your comments below. Would love to read them. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.